Members of a vigilante group targeting far-right activists have been blamed for pipe bomb attacks in West Belfast. Sources say the group, which calls itself the Socialist Republican Front, is leaving viable devices close to the homes of people they claim are connected to far-right organisations. They say those targeted are attending protests organised by loyalists, as well as travelling across the border to meetings organised by extremist groups in the Republic. Earlier this month, the group issued warnings and said it was gathering intelligence on members of the far-right group Clann Éireann living in the north and west of Belfast. I'm joined by our security correspondent, Allison Morris. Allison, you're very welcome to the BelTel.
Glad to be here.
This is the story, this has been sort of hanging about for a wee while, and I know you've written about this last month as well, and I've been wanting to get you into the studio to talk about this because I think our listeners would be very, very interested because of various aspects of this story. So what can you tell us?
Well, look, for a while, we know that there's been a lot of security alerts in and around West Belfast, and those don't happen in isolation. There's always a reason for them. Now, we do know that there are tensions between dissident Republicans, and therefore a lot of that was being put down to the fact that there's infighting between a dissident Republican group. And that is responsible for at least one or two of those pipe bombing attacks. But it wasn't making sense to me that there were so many of them and in certain areas. So you go and do a bit of digging. That's my job. It's what I'm paid to do. And we find out that there is this new organisation that has set itself up. They then put a statement that was sent around social media. The PSNI said they were aware of it at the time. And as you said, they have got themselves a name, and they have said that they are carrying out intelligence. The Socialist Republican Front, who are carrying out intelligence into far-right activists who, and a lot of people, especially in Northern Ireland, associate that kind of far-right activity with loyalists. But these are people who are living in nationalist West and North Belfast. One person in particular that they said that lives in Andersonstown, and another person that they were claiming lived in the Bonmore estate in North Belfast, which would be quite a sort of small nationalist sort of enclave in the outskirts of Newton Abbey there, just as you're heading out of Belfast. So they have said that they were tracking them, and what we reported last month is that they had been setting traps for these people. So it's my understanding on one occasion what they did is they put up mock posters, basically posters that they knew would lure this person out, promoting migration and saying, come to this protest, which was a fake protest, wasn't happening, in relation to welcoming migrants to our community. And they put these posters up all around where this person lived. And then they watched. And at 2 o'clock in the morning, they're saying this guy came out of the house to pull all these posters down. They confronted him. They're then saying that that person handed over the names of other people that they were talking to online that they were involved with who were also linked to Clann Éireann. Clann Éireann, people listening to this can Google them, but they are a very strange group based in the south. They hold protests. They're headed up by a guy called Justin Barrett, who is an odd-looking little man. And I mean, I'm not saying that lightly. I know we don't talk about what people look like, but he is a strange person.
Well, we can get on to him. We'll get on to Justin Barrett. But there's a couple of things I want to pick up on there. Socialist Republican Front. Whenever I hear the word front, do you maybe
it's the People's Front of Judea? I know what you're going to say.
and maybe the Tooting Popular Front and Wolfie Smith, and Power to the People. And younger listeners will be saying,
not know what that
will
is.
Not know what it is.
We are loving it. Yes,
you need to get on YouTube and you need to see what we're
Part
talking
of the
about.
People.
And that's the impression that the word gives. Now people will get back to me on that, but you used the word organisation. Could the word organisation be doing a bit of heavy lifting there?
It definitely is. We're talking about a very small group of people. And look, I drill down deeper to this because you immediately hear viable devices and people think, well, these are people who must be able to make bombs. And look, listen, viable devices is doing a lot of heavy lifting. A viable device could be the contents of a firework. The viable device could be a flammable liquid with a firework-style device attached to it. It does not need to be a sophisticated bomb. When you hear the PSNI saying that a viable device has been removed, don't be thinking that this is some big bomb that was made in a shed somewhere by some bomb-making capability. It literally could mean anything that is flammable is a viable device, and most of these things are very, very crude things made with, maybe the insides of a firework of some other kind of flammable liquid. So don't be getting too carried away with that and thinking that that means that these people are, people with bomb-making capability. What they are, and is a very small group of young people who are linked to I suppose you'd say those very left-leaning Republican organisations. There's some of them who are university graduates or students in universities at the minute in Belfast. There was some of them are linked to, and I'm not going to say the name of the football team, but supporters of that football team who would also be members of left-leaning organisations. I don't want to identify people here, but this is a very niche group of people who have set themselves up, and this is, I suppose, where we come to the People's Front of Judea. We know that we have an increasing number of far-right vigilante groups who are patrolling the streets, who are harassing migrants, who are stopping people trying to go to work, or young people in parks. And these people seem to think, well, we're not having this in our area, and how do we combat any rise in vigilante far-right activity? Well, we start our own vigilante group, and then we target them that way. It's very strange, but they have claimed that they have traced members coming out of sort of very nationalist/Republican areas of West Belfast to travel to the south to attend protests and meetings organised by Clann Éireann. They also have said that they have traced these people attending City Hall protests, which we know are being organised by far-right/loyalist activists, and we all know who those are. We've talked about them before. And so this is the kind of territory that we're in here. You know, these are very niche, I suppose, small groups of people targeting other very small factions of people as well.
Some people might say, and I'm not saying this, but some people might say this is one group of Walter Mitty's, keeping an eye on another group of Walter Mitty's. But nevertheless, whether we can discuss the viability of the devices, but we know very primitive devices have killed people.
What I don't want to do is saying I'm not discussing the viability of the devices, because a child lifting something like that could blow their hand off. An elderly person coming out and saying something like that and maybe think it's a bit of rubbish and lifting it to throw it in the bin could get seriously injured. I'm not playing down the seriousness of that. What I was saying is, don't be thinking that this requires someone to have extensive bomb-making capability. A quick Google search would teach you how to make one of those devices. They're quite crude devices, albeit when you hear the PSNI saying a viable device has been removed, people might in their head think that means a bomb. What I'm saying is it doesn't always mean a bomb. It can be something quite crude, but I am not by any means downplaying the fact that people have been seriously harmed with very crude devices in the past.